Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Volpe Creates Show, the weekly talk show about video games and creative technology. I am your host, Chris Volpe, joined as always by baby girl. There she is. She was napping, so I'm going to put her back down. And of course, we have non-intern actual worker bee, Lucas. How are you today?
I'm good. I hope everyone's doing well today.
Good. You mentioned that this is graduation weekend for you, right? Cap,
Yeah,
gown, the whole thing.
yeah. I graduate tomorrow, so I am beyond ecstatic. But I can tell you here in Columbus, the weather is kind of rainy, so hopefully it doesn't get rained out.
Is it outside?
it it might be. It also might be inside.
Okay. Okay. And of course, every week we have a special guest. This week, our special guest is Zack, who is going to be joining us for GDEX, but we'll talk about that later. Zack, how are you doing?
I am doing fantastic. How about you two?
I'm pretty good. Pretty good. I'm
Good.
a little tired, but that's part of the course for GDEX time. Always something to do. But why don't you let folks just know a little bit about yourself?
Well, I like to consider myself as the Zach of all trades. I try to do a little bit of everything. Yeah, a little. I try to do a little bit of. I aspire to do a little bit of everything in terms of like entertainment. I've done content creation for 10 years. I've done graphic design work for the last 10 years. I've helped with panels for anime conventions. Helped a little bit with video game design. I've made a new logo for a game that actually just dropped last month. Actually, helped them make a new logo with that. So I'm kind of have my hand on a little bit of everything. So
So I know you do some graphic design. You mentioned sort of like branding design. And we actually have a video you made for your event that's going to be at GDEX. So by the time you're listening to this, it is up on the YouTubes, and we'll be sharing it. Um, but is that like your schooling background? Is that in graphic design or just something you picked up?
yes, a bit of both. A bit of both. So I used to go to a career center over in Bellefontaine. It was called Ohio High Point Career Center. And basically how it works is the last 2 years of high school, your junior and senior year, you can opt to join the career center and assign yourself to a field. In my case, it was printing graphics. Not only did I work as a graphic designer, I also printed out said designs on various mediums. Probably my most favorite is the car wrappings. We had a giant, I'm talking huge, 10-foot vinyl printer that we
Oh, that's
used to print
awesome.
out vinyl stickers and use that for car wraps and stuff. The facility is state of the art, and I honestly got really spoiled with all the equipment
Yeah.
and
So you
thus
did a lot of like
abuse.
printmaking stuff.
Oh yeah. Probably the bread and butter of it is t-shirts. So basically you make a design on Illustrator or Photoshop or whatever you choose to use, print out the design, and the process is a little in depth, but it's pretty straightforward once you get the hang of it. Basically print out the design. You have like this little bluish ink type stuff that goes on a printing press. You will tape your design onto it. You have it vacuum sealed and super dried in like a very bright light press thingamabobber. I don't remember the proper terms anymore. And that pretty much imprints the design onto this press inking thing bobber. You get that hooked onto the press, put some ink onto a shirt, bam, you made a t-shirt with your own design.
Mhm.
The whole process takes about 20 minutes tops. And with some of the pressers that we have, we could do upwards of like 5 colors per shirt, which is
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it was GDEX 2019. We had our shirt vendor for our merch came and did the shirts on site. So you would pick the color, you would pick the design, and then they'd do it and then put it in the ovens or whatever they're called.
mhm.
Um, and that was pretty cool. It was a cool experience for guests because they got to see their shirt being made. Um, and whenever you do those kind of why am I'm totally blanking on the term for it. Those type of shirts. but they're always like, there's always they're all everyone's a little bit different, because there's always the little issues, imperfections you get in the process, which makes it kind of your unique shirt. Excuse me, which is cool. So I don't know if you know, my background's photography. I went to
Oh,
OSU, and so photo, printmaking, art, and tech, we were all in the same building. So we all hung out with each other and stuff. So that's pretty cool.
yeah. With the class I was taking up, the guy who taught me was actually the former president of like the printing association of the entire country, if I remember correctly. So he was he had like literal decades of experience. And to give you an idea just how far ahead that class was compared to most other places, we were learning about augmented reality in late 2012. The stuff that makes Pokemon Go, basically. We were taught how to work that stuff in 2012, a full solid 4 years before Pokemon Go became as massively popular as it did.
Hmm.
That's how far ahead they are in those classes, and I was incredibly lucky to be part of those classes. And I took very much advantage of all of my classes and all the equipment I was allowed to toy around with.
Yeah,
Um,
that's awesome.
I tried going to college, not Ohio State, but a different college, a smaller college that, ironically enough, was mostly for automotive, but they had like a filmmaking class and a graphic design class, and I had to drop out because I was just rehashing 2 years of my life. I'm not gonna rehash 2 more years about it. And so I started doing self-teaching stuff. I self-taught myself how to work with Premiere Pro. I'm still hesitant about After Effects. After Effects is scary. Uh,
Yeah, a friend of
but
mine is diving into After Effects right now, and she's just like, "This stuff's hard." And I was like, I know, I know, Photoshop, I know Illustrator decently, InDesign decently, but After Effects that's a whole other world.
Premiere Pro, easy. It's like candy. It's fantastic. It's easy, it's simple, it's easy to digest. After Effects, you gotta have like a special time of mindset, and that mindset is being fueled by straight black coffee. And
Mhm. Yeah,
I it's a lot.
it's definitely a tool that I think once you understand, I feel Illustrator is the same way. Like if you move from Photoshop to Illustrator and you start working in vectors, it's like it's a whole different mental process for you to think about, as opposed to like rasterized work in Photoshop. Uh, but yeah, yeah. So you're a gamer. What got you into games?
Oh wait, hold on, Siren. My cat wants to say hi. Say hi,
Mm,
Siren. Oh, oh, okay. She does
oh,
not want to say hi.
does not.
Apparently,
My
we
cat's
just
over there
got doodle dipped.
sleeping.
Well, I used to. I grew up on video games. My earliest memories were very much video games. I used to own a Super Nintendo. I remember very vividly when I was in the hospital that I had a Super Nintendo in the room, and the one game that was with my Super Nintendo was Super Mario World. I mean, everyone plays Super Mario World. I
Yeah,
mean,
that game's
it's like
great.
it's an entry fee to be a gamer. You gotta play Super Mario. It's that easy. Both my parents, both my biological parents, were really into PC gaming. Um, at one point, we in the small town in Ohio that we lived in, we were the only household. This is 1999, by the way. We were the only household to have a working DVD player because my dad went ahead and installed a DVD player onto the computer, and he somehow through black magic managed to hook it up to the TV, and we were one of the first people to watch Episode One Star Wars on DVD on a big entertainment system because of that DVD player. And
That's
and there was this one game my mom played. I cannot remember the name of it for the life of me, but it was text based, and I vividly remember my mom playing it like every night for hours on end. And I still remember the sound effects that the game used. For some reason, the sound effects were like clips of Eddie Izzard's standard going yeah da 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 da, da," and you hear that every time an action's made. That stuff
that's
gets drilled into my subconscious as a kid.
yeah.
But
I talked about this with a lot of our music people. I'm sure Lucas would appreciate this, but uh, music composition and audio sound design is something that people just sort of take for granted. And I'm looking something up because we just watched a movie. So I do this thing, Bad Movie Night, and we did it on Wednesday this week, and we watched a movie that we hadn't seen before, and we did it because it had bowling in it. It was one of the ones on our list, and there was a part in it where a character said something, and I was like, it like instantly in my brain was like, boom, a memory, right? But like I'd never seen this movie before. This movie, so the movie is Sorority Babes in the Slimeball Bowlerama. It's from 1988. It's actually it's amazing. It is amazing. And so I'd never seen the movie before, and it was like driving me crazy because I was like, I swear to God, I've heard that, and it's just this woman saying this one line, and it's this the line is something like, yeah, I'm stupid, very stupid, or something. And I was like, what in the hell is that from? And I scoured Google, and it was they took a sample of it in a Static X song, and they sampled it in one of their songs. And I remember that album because I used to listen to that album a lot when I was, in high school and my late teens. And it's just it amazed me how I'm 40 now, so I probably haven't listened to that song in 20 plus years, but it's drilled into my brain enough that the original sample from a movie I've never seen before triggered a memory. So
Like a
I get it. I'm
sledgehammer.
always whistling. I'm always whistling like old video game songs and stuff,
But yeah, I grew up with the N64. I grew up with the Super Nintendo. PC gaming spoiled with it. Probably my favorite memory with PC gaming is how my mom and I accidentally bought World of Warcraft for my stepdad. I say
Oh,
accidentally because you're probably wondering how the hell do you accidentally buy WoW? Well,
yeah.
we were
Unless you,
looking for an RPG because my stepdad's really into RPGs. He loves Baldur's Gate, Dark Alliance. He
oh
loves
yeah.
A Bard's Tale. He
Ah,
loves those
I feel
that genre of
bad.
action RPG. And we were at GameStop and he was like, "Oh, World of Warcraft. I remember Warcraft. Warcraft was pretty good. He might enjoy this." And we didn't know it was an MMO because we lived out in the middle of nowhere where internet is basically delivered by snails. Um, so we got it, and he played it, and he's like, "Oh wow, this is really cool. You should play with me, hon." And my mom bought it, and it's like, "Oh wow, this is really cool. We need DPS. Hey, son, who's 11 years old?" And all three of us were playing World of Warcraft by 2008, and every Sunday we would play World of Warcraft together. It was great. Um, at one
Yeah,
point,
I've played a lot of WoW in my day.
at one point in the middle, I think I want to say in the middle Lich King expansion, my stepdad was the best healer in the server, in the realm. And he was a paladin, which for those of you who don't know about WoW mechanics, to be the best healer in the realm as a paladin is impossible. So we were really into it. I think my parents still play to this day. Actually, I kind of drift off, played other stuff, but they still play WoW to this day.
Wow. Yeah, I had to step away. I can't remember when I stepped away, probably 2005-ish, something like that. And I was just like, I'm spending way too much time. I mean, I bet if I logged on and did like time played, I would probably just like have some chest pain about the amount of time I put into that game. Um, but that's awesome. Yeah. So I mean, you're obviously younger than me, but it sounds like you started out with a pretty, the beginnings of a lot of games, so you could kind of appreciate and see where they come from. You mentioned Super Mario World. Like, I tell my students, like, you should go play that game. Like, Super Mario World
Oh yeah,
is a solid game. Like, even to this day, if you want to say that.
oh yeah.
Um,
It's arguably like a good benchmark of what a 2D platformer should be, not
yeah,
only in like mechanics, but in like in terms of content.
yeah,
Because you can
absolutely.
spend like hundreds of hours in that game. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think Super Mario Brothers 3 is one of the best platforms ever. I mean, I think Super Mario Brothers is a good game to play just to sort of experience it, but um, Super Mario Brothers 3 and Super Mario World are amazing platformers. Um, so let's talk about Strife Mania, which
Mm,
is your event we'll be having at GDEX on the Friday of GDEX. We're doing it at 12 o'clock. And so this is something that you created as a charity experience to help fund, in this case, Nationwide Children's Hospital,
Mhm.
which for those listening is Columbus's local children's hospital. Um, so why don't you take us through the sort of the origin of that? Where did that come about?
So, oh man, where to
Or I guess
start?
first
Uh,
explain what it is before we go into the history
So,
of it.
so Strife Mania is a attempt to recreate a traditional, good old fashioned pay per view experience of like WWE or WCW from back in the day, where you have like these nice set of matches of characters that everyone loves, everyone knows, and like unthinkable like matchups that they would want to see someday. Probably not in this particular instance, but would like to see in some form, some capacity. And the the purpose of it was to raise awareness and raise money for Nationwide Children's. And initially, the main event of it is a battle royale. Basically, you have 30 people based on users that people would submit. Basically, I want to see Solid Snake in the battle royale. Okay, done. We got Solid Snakes in there. One suggestion from one of our mutual coworkers is, I want Toad and Daisy's dress as my submission. It's like, okay, sure, why not?
So
And
real fast, one of the things we're doing is you want people on the video we posted in chat to
mm,
put their suggestions in the comments, right?
yes, absolutely. It
So
gives
yeah, so what we're going to do, we're going to create a link. It'll be www.thegdex.com/strifemania. I haven't created it yet, but I'll get that. And that will link you directly to the YouTube video, where you can watch the trailer and then put your suggestions into the comments, where we'll be watching, and you never know, your suggestion might get in there. So
yeah, yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
Uh, so basically, it brings. I'm blanking really hard right now. I apologize. It brings user oh, what's the term?
Engagement.
Engagement. There we go. User engagement. It's like, oh, I really want this character to come on, and there might be a chance he might come on. Hell, there might be a chance he might win the whole damn thing. In that case, the winner of the battle royale gets to beat, not face, beat. I'm making it sure that it gets beaten Cancer itself as the main event. You're
So
probably
that
thinking
was one of my questions. Is there a chance that Cancer can win?
there's because of how, so for those of you who don't know, I'm using WWE 2K22 to enact this whole kit and caboodle, and there is a slimmer of a chance,
Okay.
a very slim chance. There's more likely that the Eiffel Tower will flip itself upside down than there is a chance of Cancer winning, but there's still that chance. But don't worry, I have backup plans for that. If God forbid, if that ever happens, because that'll just, could you imagine? Oh, that would just ruin the whole event.
So
But
that was something I was curious about because obviously I think the fun, because you're letting the AI do these fights, right? Like you don't even
yeah,
know
yeah,
you don't even know who's going to win
yeah, and that's
between.
part of the fun.
Yeah, so we've got that part where we're all kind of like excited about it, and we've got the ability to do donations and stuff, to help raise money. Um, so we never know who's going to fight Cancer at the end, right?
Yeah.
But one of the things I was thinking of is like it is sort of cathartic to just like kick the crap out of Cancer, Like
Oh
that's
yeah.
part of the fun. But people do love a big bad, and sometimes if the bad guy wins every so often, then next year we have to like really up our
Re-
game.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. And the thing about Strife Man, like most wrestling pay per views, there's gonna be surprises. There's gonna be some surprises. I have a couple surprises that I'm keeping to myself. Lucas knows a few of them, and I'm hoping he keeps hush hush because if he doesn't,
Good. Yeah, I don't want to know him either.
um.
I
But there
like
are
to be
some
surprised.
surprises we got planned for it, and
Okay.
because everyone loves a good surprise. But the reason why we chose Cancer itself as like the big bad, the reason why we're doing this whole battle royale is because it kind of goes back to my personal origins. When I was 3 years old, I got diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia, and I was put into chemotherapy for 3 years. and this was late 90s. So everything's a little more like, oh, I kind of don't know if we're doing this right, but we're gonna do it anyway, type of deal. Um, I got lucky. I got really lucky. I got put into remission the day of my birthday on June 9th, uh, 2001, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
And last year was 20 years to the day that I got put into remission on my birthday. And I thought,
Well, congrats,
I,
man.
I want to do something special for that. I was like, I feel like let's do a charity event. Now, last year on 413, I did a something similar to Strife Man. It was called Strife Fest, and basically it was a whole bunch of Homestuck characters beating the crap out of each other in wrestling. It was a funny little thing. It was more like an in joke for me and my friends at the time, and that went well on stream. It's just like, oh, let's do that, but let's actually do every character, you know. And it was just the battle royale at that point. There was no other matches. It was only the battle royale.
Okay.
And that stream went very well. We had a goal of $1,000 to raise for Nationwide. Not only did we meet the goal, we exceeded the goal by $200 extra dollars. It was great. And early this year, around New Year's Eve, I was like, you know what? Let's do that again. Let's do that again, and let's do it proper. You know, let's try and make this like an annual type of deal. And that's
Mm-hmm.
where Strife Mania came about. It's like, well, how about we have some like really good matches? Let's actually make this build up. Like, let's pretend this is actually a pay-per-view. Let's try to be as serious about this. Well, not like too serious, but as serious about the plan as possible with that. And I was mentioning this to Lucas. For those of you who don't know, Lucas and I work together. And I was basically info dumping the entire thing to Lucas, poor Lucas, on the one shift that we were sharing with, and kind of looked at me as like, you know what, this is a great idea. Why not have it at GDEX? And I was like, the hell's GDEX? And so he was info dumping me on what GDEX was, what Multivarious does, and what you have done, Mr. Volpe. And I was like, this is a very good idea, Lucas. Let's do this. And you understand, but for the audience at home, one thing led to another, as all great things do, and we're at this wonderful point of planning where 90% of Strife Mania is ready to go for GDEX, and we're having a nice little discussion about it.
Awesome. Yeah. So when Zach, or sorry, when Lucas brought you up, Zach, to me, and he was kind of describing this, uh, at first, like I wasn't 100% sure like what Lucas was talking about. He was just like throwing information at me. So we had a call with you, and I had you kind of explain it to me, and I was like, yeah, this sounds really interesting. And we have our GDEX Underworld stage where we do like our tournaments and stuff. And we also stream that content out throughout the weekend on our GDEX Twitch channel. And it just seemed like the way you were phrasing it seemed like a really like solid, like you said, pay-per-view event. Obviously, it's free. We're not charging people to watch it, but just the style of the pay-per-view event. And that just seemed like a really fun idea. And then I think you mentioned Kevin McAllister in there from Home
Yeah,
Alone.
one of the headline matches, which it came about as a joke. One of my favorite memes is, can Kevin McAllister beat this guy if he has enough prep time? And
Yeah.
I was like, well, what about Solid Snake? Like, Solid Snake's like the best soldier in the world in the Metal Gear universe. I mean, how could Kevin McAllister handle that? And I was like, well, what's like the best match for it? Oh, I know, table, ladders, and chairs. Who set him
Yeah.
up? Kevin did.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I just thought that was I thought that was really funny, and I like Home Alone was my favorite movie when I was a kid. I watched it like every day after school. Um, and I was just like, I think this will be really fun. This will give something. So a big thing about GDEX and Origins is like it's a 5-day show. So there's always stuff going on, and like a lot of folks find themselves with 15, 20, 30 minutes to kill before their next thing, before they're going to go to their next tournament or whatever. And this seemed like a really cool, fun activity to go just sit and watch and be a part of, because it doesn't require you, like our Smash Brothers tournament. If you're participating as a player in the Smash Brothers tournament on Saturday, I mean, you could be there all day, depending on how well you do, right? And you can't
Oh yeah.
go anywhere because you might come up next in rotation. So yeah, you know, you might have some time to go grab lunch or something. But this seemed like a really cool activity for folks to just come and watch. And what I'm hopeful we can do is get like a rough listing of the some of the fights so that people can see like, oh, I want to see the Solid Snake fight or whatever. um and so, you know, we've got it on Friday right now. 12 to 4 is our current block, Eastern time, of course, because we're in beautiful Columbus, Ohio, which has not stopped raining in the past 3 days. um but yeah, so I just thought it was a really cool idea. So anyway, back to you. Sorry,
Yep.
man.
So yeah, it's if I don't even remember how many matches now. It was 10, but we trimmed it down to fit 4 hours, which 4 hours is like plenty of time to get what we need
Hmm.
done. And
And if we need a little extra time, like if we're not bumping into any of our other tournaments or anything. So
cool. But yeah, that's the gist. You just get to see some of your favorite favorite characters from like across, as I describe it, paradox space. It was a term from Homestuck. It's basically a good explanation as why are we here? Oh, paradox space. Why is it this character versus this character? Oh, paradox space. It's a paradox. It happens. It's a good
well, I
way
mean,
to like.
we're in the multiverse now, right? Everything's multiverse. Everything's like there's a bazillion versions of everything these days. We're so meta in our content that I mean, you could probably throw a thumbtack. I was gonna say, well, thumbtack. They use thumbtacks in wrestling. I don't know if they still do anymore. Is thumbtacks a thing? They used
Ah,
to.
I think they shy away from it now, but it used to be a big thing during like the late '90s, early 2000s, especially Mick Foley, especially like his Hell
Yeah,
in the Cell matches against Undertaker. Like, oh my god, it's brutal.
yeah. When I was growing up, like, yeah, they would just throw you into thumbtacks or hit you with chairs. You know, obviously, like the tables and stuff are in certain ways, but uh, one of our guests says it's definitely still a thing. Um, but so you are going to be what would it be hosting, announcing it, and are going to have some co-hosts that are going to commentate throughout the event. Is that the
Yeah,
idea?
yeah. So basically, how it works is, at least for the streaming side of things, sure, we can have just the matches play by themselves and stuff, but it doesn't quite have the same punch. We need to have Jerry the King Lawler type of people. We need to have a JR type of people, and considering I'm the one who's running the whole thing and know what to expect, I feel like I'm probably best suited for the announcer portion of it. I'm basically the Vince McMahon of the whole thing, for God's sakes. And however, I will admit my faults. I'm not very good by myself. So, and I discussed with Lucas, it's like, well, what's the magic number? I feel like having three announcers would be good so that it's not just two guys bouncing off each other, but one of them's really awkward. At least there's going to be three of us. We can all bounce off each other and say we need a bathroom break or need to grab lunch. There's still two more people there at least to bounce off each other. And that helps. The announcers help bring life into the matches. They help narrate the matches and try to get a little bit into the brain of what the wrestlers are doing, what their psyche are right now, what their motivations are as to why are the hell are we here type of deal.
Sure.
And also it helps with kind of building the story, because wrestling in essence is just modern day opera. It's storytelling presented in such a humorous and outright insane presentation of a couple of muscular men beating the crap out of each other in a squared circle.
Yeah, I think one of the cool things about I think this event. So you know, with our other tournaments, for example, we'll have commentators doing the Smash tournament, our Mario Kart tournaments and stuff. But like I feel I've sat in and done commentating on stuff, but like I don't know the Smash world well enough to like I don't know what any of the moves are called. I know most of the characters, but like I couldn't, unless you want somebody that looks like a fool up there commentating, I'm probably not your choice. But the fun thing about this is because like it's fun and whimsical, and you know, you could pretty much have any commentator on there and they would be surprised by what's going on and have fun with it.
Yeah,
And I think that's cool. I guess people say accessible. I think it's a very accessible event where people can come and have fun. And it doesn't require like a bunch of knowledge about, you know, all of this background stuff. You know, you don't need to know the meta strategy, I guess,
Oh yeah.
for this.
And I think what also helps is like you don't need to know like any background information. You don't need any backstory stuff. You just see, oh look, it's Springtrap and Nagato Komaeda from Five Nights at Freddy's and Danganronpa. They're facing each other. Why are they here? Because they are.
Because we made them.
Yeah, because we made them do it. So
Um, so that's exciting. So we're gonna use this to help raise some money. Extra Life is our charity partner. I mentioned before that raises money for Nationwide Children's Hospital. Do you have a number in mind you want to raise, or do you want to keep that secret, or is that something you want to announce?
I'm hoping to double last year's goal and hit at least 2 grand. But
Okay.
that was with just little me doing it all by myself with some of my friends. Now that
Hmm.
it just feels a little bit more prestigious now with being involved with GDEX. I feel like we might do a little bit better than that. So who knows?
I
Who knows?
I hope so. Yeah, we'll promote it. I mean, if anything, we're prestigious. Lucas has been around us long enough to know prestige. We're just oozing prestige.
Oh yeah,
Um, I, I
everywhere.
I say with deep sarcasm. Um, but yeah, I think we're happy to. So we've worked with Nationwide Children's pretty much every year, except for the first year, and that was kind of where we ended up getting connected to Extra Life, because Extra Life was doing a charity event across the hall from us at the OSU Union just by happenstance on the same weekend. So they were doing a video game thing across the hall from us, and we were doing our video game show, and we ended up connecting. And since then, we've just ended up doing work together. So generally, Able Gamers and Extra Life are our two charity partners we work with, and so we also are going to have in the show floor. Extra Life is going to have um, a booth space for raffles where they tend to get a lot of prizes and stuff. So I think between the two, uh, it's gonna be a good year, and we can use both of those to promote each other, and then obviously we'll use our social media, we'll use our email blasts. Um, it looks like your mom mentioned something about
Oh, hi mom.
DDP, Diamond Dallas Page.
Yes. Diamond Dallas that's a whole story. My I used
Well,
to watch
we got time.
wrestling. I used to watch wrestling as a kid. But you grow up, you lose interest in certain hobbies and stuff. And wrestling for a while there was one of those things I just kind of lost interest in. And it wasn't until like early last year, late 2020, is like, you know what? I want to start watching wrestling again. I started watching wrestling clips and stuff, started remembering some of the stuff that I used to watch. Because I used to watch WCW, ECW with my dad and stuff. And one of my favorite wrestlers that still stuck with me to this day was Diamond Dallas Page. You know, the master of the diamond card, guy who made yoga a thing again. For those who don't know, he does his own form of yoga called DDPY, DDP yoga. As he describes it, it's not effing yoga. His words. And when I was doing the original charity stream last year, my mom asked me, "Well, what do you want for your birthday?" You know, and I was like, I thought about it. And I was like, I want a cameo from Diamond Dallas Page because he does cameo on the site, and I was like, that'd be really
Hmm.
cool, you know. And mom got a cameo from DDP, and usually when you think cameo, you think, oh, it's just a celebrity does like 30 seconds, minute tops, say happy birthday, blah blah blah, check out my stuff, and I fully expected that. I wasn't expecting 10 plus minutes of Diamond Dallas Page explaining a story about how he and Jake the Snake Roberts lost a 10-foot cobra in his house.
Okay.
And
Is that
it
video
was,
online?
yes, actually, I could actually send it to you, the cameo to
Yeah.
you after this,
If you
after
send
the
it to
stream.
us, we'll put it in the show notes.
So, but it was something sweet. It's nice to know that one of your childhood heroes now formally acknowledge your existence, you know?
Sure. I think that is something, there's something to be said, and that's an important thing that at least I try to get across to folks is if you're doing something interesting and you're coming at it from like a genuine place, uh, then most people will respond to that. I think a lot of people talk about authenticity a lot. And if somebody sees that you're trying to do something and you're, yeah, like I said, you're coming at it from a good place, you'd be really surprised about who, would get excited about what it is. And I've had that with some of our GDEX guests. There's folks that I've had on this show that like I am consistently amazed that they give me an hour of their time to do talks like this or to come out to GDEX because like these are busy people that could be doing anything else. And I remember we had for GDEX 2020 when we did it virtually, we had our GDEX TV.
Mhm.
Grant Kirkhope I had on, who you may not be familiar with. I had him on this show too, but he did the music for. I mean, he's done music for the past 40 years in games, but Banjo Kazooie, Perfect Dark,
Oh,
GoldenEye, a lot of the old Rare games, and he's been doing a lot of cool stuff. He did Mario and Rabbids, the soundtrack for that recently.
nice.
But he started telling a story because um, Eddie Van Halen had died, and he told this story about how he got this guitar from him, and like he was thinking about giving up music, and then he just ended up meeting him kind of on a whim and being a part of this tour and talking with him and how it like convinced him to keep staying on in music. Um, and so I think those little moments are important, and I'm sure that video. I'm curious to see it, uh, but that's something that it sounds like kind of gave you a little bit of a little of a fire under you to make the next year's event bigger, to put a little more effort into it. And it seems like that's where we're at now, right? If I'm
Yeah.
if I'm hearing you correctly.
Oh yeah. It felt like after last year did so well, it felt like an obligation to keep going at this point.
Hmm.
It's like we got a good thing going. We got a good thing that people of all backgrounds can enjoy, that people can easily digest and don't need any like previous information about. It's something that feels like the perfect concoction of something that's both entertaining and for a good purpose. And
Sure.
it's it's something that's difficult to mess up, you know.
Wow. Let's knock on wood here. We still got
We
5
still
weeks
got
to
a
mess
month.
something
We
up.
still got a month, but still.
Yeah. Well, you said you think you're almost done with the work, but you're going in and like I know you're creating some of the characters, you're grabbing some from the like community,
Mhm.
um, the community servers that you can grab this stuff from. Then you kind of like give them move sets and stuff. Uh, like is that like the main thing that you have to spend your time on getting ready for it?
That is actually probably the easy part.
Okay.
Cause creating the characters and stuff, creating all the graphics and stuff of that, creating the characters and doing all the mischief, that's the easy part in my opinion. I think the hard part is filling in the gaps between the matches. I think is probably more difficult because you have to use a little bit more because in terms of like planning out the show, I want to try to do it as fluid as possible. So it seems like it's seamlessly transitioning from a match to intermission to maybe an ad break to background information of the match is about ready to start to the actual match, then rinse and repeat till the main event. And
Yeah. So you're really trying to make it like a TV, like what you would
oh yeah,
see on TV.
I'm pretty much trying to make it feel as authentic as possible to the experience.
Okay.
And And in order to do that, I feel like probably the most difficult thing is engage in what the wrestling business calls as kayfabe. Basically, what kayfabe is the lore or the canon within the shows. So you know how like say Mark Hamill, he's Luke Skywalker in Star Wars, right? But when he goes shopping to a grocery store, he's not Luke Skywalker. He's Mark Hamill. He's just a guy, you know. In kayfabe, say Hulk Hogan. He's Hulk Hogan in the wrestling match stuff, but he goes grocery shopping. He's still Hulk Hogan. He still has to act like Hulk Hogan because to him, Hulk Hogan's a real person. And
Hmm.
it helps bring some genuine, oh, it presents it in a way that seems genuine and honest. And I feel like that's probably the more difficult part of the whole process is I have to pretend that that everything I'm presenting is true and real, no matter
Sure.
how absurd it is.
Yeah. Yeah, you're creating these stories that are part of this generalized fiction that you're creating. Yeah, do you have like video of like Mario and Luigi getting to the stadium in their go-karts, in their Mario karts, going down
No,
the
no,
highway? They're going to be
uh,
late for the match.
that's a good idea. I actually have a friend who's really into Gmod. I might actually commission that.
There you go. Here's my good idea for the day.
um, hey Luigi, we're coming late.
Yeah.
Goddamn 71.
Uh, yeah. Ohio traffic. Um, that's awesome. So, you say you're about 90% done. Sounds like you're pretty excited about it. Um, and then we are going to do some announcements for it over the next coming weeks. So, uh, is there? I guess before we sort of move on, is there anything else that you want to let folks know about? Any announcements you want to make for this stream?
Well, always expect the unexpected when it comes to this kind of stuff because even though I say it's 90% done, I don't have a full roster for the main battle royale. That's up to you guys. It could be, I would say anyone, but there are limits. Be reasonable here, but it could be damn near
What
anyone you want.
what what
So
what would be something that would break the limit if they were like
y-
Adolf Hitler or something?
yeah, yeah, offensive stuff, offensive stuff that's like a little too personal stuff. I don't want your like second removed uncle being part of the match. You gotta be a little bit reasonable about it.
Yeah.
I
Have
think
you
I
ever put
think
yourself in a fight?
never say never.
Okay.
Never say.
Never say never.
Hey,
You should put
sometimes the
go.
announcers need to do the dirty work. So
I know. Sometimes, yeah, the only people that can do it are the announcers, right?
who
Um.
knows? Maybe you may be in Mr. Volpe. Who knows?
Oh, geez. Oh,
Anything's
Lord.
anything's possible in Paradox Space.
Oh, Lord. You should put a baby into it. I'm sure she could. My little doggy could take care of business there. Um. Yeah, it could be little exhibition matches that don't count towards the brackets or whatever, just like little silly things. Look at me telling you how to run your thing. You got this. You don't need me.
I'm
Um,
always open to suggestions. So
okay. Well, the link is up. So thegdex.com/strifemania will take you to the YouTube video. And then if you put recommendations for folks, I guess generally you're probably trying to skew more fictional folks, and I assume
yeah,
within the kind of gaming space.
yeah,
Is that
or
fair?
yeah, that's fair. Fictional folks, maybe some celebrities and stuff. I mean, hell, one of the original matches we had planned was Drain the Rock versus a literal rock. So
Hmm.
literally any suggestion, as long as it's reasonable and non-offensive. So,
Was that from last year?
no, it was planned for this year, but again, trimming for time.
Sherman, The Rock versus The Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, the unstoppable force meets an immovable object. Um,
Another cut match that we had was Michael Myers versus Mike Myers.
oh,
And
nice,
Mike
nice.
Myers was supposed to be in like his Austin Powers get up, and
Hmm.
it was gonna be silly, but I chose the best of the best matches for this one, so
Well, I think if those two fights didn't make it into the cutoff, then it sounds like you probably got some good stuff in there.
oh,
Is
it's
there
gonna be interesting.
is there one, and you don't have to tell us, but do you have like one that you're like really excited to just see how it plays out? Don't tell us who
Uh,
it is, but I'm just kind of curious if you do.
there's a few. There's a few. One of them I coined as probably the most cursed on the card is one of those ones that just like it's gonna be interesting to see how these two characters and their respective canons would interact with each other if they were in like another fictional situation. But it'll be very interesting to see how they react in the ring. So
Mm, okay, okay. Well, we got a few more minutes left, and I just kind of want to jump over it because you are also you work at Play It Trade It, which is a used and collectible games store here in Columbus. So I mean, are you interested in sort of retro collectible games, or did you just want to kind of be closer to the video game world and closer to your people?
A bit of both. A bit of both. It's funny because ever since I started the job, my collection is like quadrupled in size, especially my
Hmm.
Blu-ray selection. I'm really into movies. I love movies, and the fact that I can get a decent stack of Blu-rays for like only $6 a piece. Hint, hint.
Yeah.
It gets crazy real quick.
So I
Um,
talked to Lucas and I talked to your boss, also Chris, last week, and I think we might have him on the show sometime because I'm very curious, particularly with the pandemic, how collectible and retro games like their prices shot through the roof.
oh,
It just seems that it's been the past 2 or 3 years people have really been into that.
it it's insane. I joined the team like right in the middle of the pandemic. I joined on February of 2021, right in smack dab in the middle of the whole kit and caboodle. And however, from what I've saw of like, previous reports and all that jazz, not only did the store survive the pandemic, they bloody thrived off of it because it was the perfect storm of people selling their old stuff to make rent and stuff. But at the same time, you had people who are stuck at home and it's like, man, I really want to play Thousand Year Door on the GameCube. Oh, it's only $150. Sure, I'll buy that. And
Hmm.
so yeah, people dumping whole collections, and people was like, you know what? I got nothing better to do. I'm gonna start making a collection, and it worked in our favor.
Yeah. I ended up selling during the pandemic and stuff. I was like I had all this stuff. My house was just filled with stuff. And I ended up selling like all my video game stuff. I sold my Magic the Gathering stuff. I mean, these are things that I had since, I was a kid in the 80s and 90s. Um and there's a couple things that I'm a little sad I got rid of. Like I had a really nice box manual, everything of Chrono Trigger, which is my favorite game.
Ooh.
Same with Super Mario RPG. But I just needed to get rid of stuff. But I mean, I was selling stuff for a lot of money. I had a friend, Sean Beeson, who was on this show a couple weeks ago. He came and bought like a lot of my Super Nintendo stuff. And when he came to my house to pick it up, I had, different piles of things I was organizing. And one of them was my Virtual Boy section. Uh,
Ooh.
and he was
What
like, "You
about
have Jack Bros?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Man," he's like, "The box alone for that's worth like $400." I was like, "What? Who the Jack Bros?" I have never heard of anybody talk about Jack Bros since I got that thing when I was like 16, Nobody ever talks about it, but he was right, man. I sold that box and manual. I don't know where the game went. I must have lent it to a friend. But I sold the box and manual, I think, for like $450.
it's
Uh,
it's
and it
insane
was
what
yeah, that was crazy. Someone bought my Virtual Boy, I think, for like $800. Um, I told him Lucas was there. I told your boss I had a Clay Fighter Sculptor's Cut. It was like 4 feet by 2 feet high, cardboard yellow sign from Blockbuster for
oh my
it.
god.
And I was like, I could not find it anywhere, like on eBay or anything, right? I was just trying to price the thing. I was like, I'll throw it up for like $60 and see what somebody says. And somebody hit me back and they're like, oh, I'll take it, And I was like, okay. And then this other person hit me up. And they're like, hey, man, I'm really interested in that. I was like, well, I already have somebody who says they want to buy it. And the other guy's like, oh, man, that sucks. He's like, I'd love to put an offer on it. And I was like, you know what? Just give me an offer. I'm curious what your offer is, right? You want to guess what his offer was? I put it
I'm
up
gonna
for
say
60.
I'm gonna say quadruple digits.
Okay. So not quite $800 is what this guy offered me. And I was like, all right, it's yours. This guy offered me 60. You're offering me 800. I will sell it to you. And then just like, I don't know if it was a combination between the Clay Fighter and Blockbuster part of it, where they're
Mhm.
just both kind of hard to find. But like that absolutely blew me away. This cardboard thing that I got when Blockbuster was like doing a clearance sale, in the 90s that I've just kept in my parents' basement for 25 years. Uh, but yeah, it's getting crazy. And it
If,
seems like you guys have a lot of stuff over there.
if there's one thing I've learned since I started this job is it's insane how expensive cardboard and plastic could be.
Yeah. Well,
Like
I go ahead. Sorry.
like one of the most expensive things I have in my collection now is I have all 4 dot hack games. And for those of you who don't know, dot hack for the original run on the PS2, first two are pretty cheap. You can get them for like 20-30 bucks complete in box. Third one, 80 bucks, a little bit more expensive. Fourth part complete in box is close to $400.
Yep.
And
Yeah. My
it's
dad
insane.
always used to tell me, yeah, because he's kind of like he's not a collector, but he likes to take care of his stuff, you know? And he's always like, when you think about it, particularly with things like toys and, video games and stuff like that, the first thing that goes is the box because
Mhm.
as a kid, you just sort of rip the packaging open to get to the game or whatever. And you step on the box or it gets thrown into a corner and it gets all dinged. So it's the cardboard and like plasticky things that end up getting broken or in the trash, and those are the things that are really hard to find. So I was fortunate that as a kid, I would like take the boxes out and I would put them in like a tote or whatever. I wasn't doing it to like collect them. I just kind of
Mhm.
wanted to make sure that they were taken care of or in good shape. I did the same with my magic cards. I sold my magic cards for like 6 grand.
When I was a kid, I did the exact opposite. I had,
Mhm.
like, for instance, I had a whole Hot Wheels city that my parents
Mm,
helped built in
Hot
the
Wheels is a big one.
basement. And my favorite game to play with them was Godzilla. You can imagine how that went with those.
Yeah.
Oh look, a complete in box, Pokemon Silver. How shiny, rip. You know,
Yeah.
just want to play the game for God's sakes. So I keep kicking myself, kicking little me growing up. It's like, why didn't you keep this stuff? 'Cause there was some
Yeah,
stuff that
but
I used to have that's probably worth hundreds now. It's insane.
sure. I mean, but you never know. When I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, like video games were big, but they're not anything like they are now.
Oh, yeah.
And, gamers were like, nerdy, but nerdy was not a positive connotation. Uh and then I think in the mid 90s it started to change when the PlayStation came out and stuff. You started to see more and more folks get involved in gaming. And then obviously in the mid 2000s with like internet play and stuff, it's a whole different world. But you just don't think about that stuff. You just want you're getting the game because you want to play the game. You're not thinking about it from a collector's standpoint. And nobody knew that who the hell knew that Chrono Trigger is going to be one of the most sought after games. Like, I'm literally, me and my friend are literally the only people that I am even aware of that I grew up with that could even know what that game is if I said Chrono Trigger to somebody. It was not a game that a lot of people played when it first came out. And so for like 20 years, I was always telling people, I was like, dude, you got to play this game. And people are like, it's an old Super Nintendo game. I'm not going to play it. And now everyone is like, oh yeah, Chrono Trigger. It's such a popular game and it's such a collectible game, but nobody knew what the fuck that game was when I was a kid. I played that game to death, but
Well, it's kinda like Earthbound, Earthbound, probably the
oh
most
yeah,
ex
Earthbound,
one of the
absolutely.
most expensive Super Nintendos. I've saw the Angry Video Game Nerd episode of some of the old adverts. It's like, "Oh, it's gross out humor and disgusting." I was like, "What?"
Dude, I remember the advertising campaign for that, like when they had the inserts that you would scratch and sniff, and it was like the worst smells imaginable. Like as a marketing campaign, you're just like, oh God. And then like after you scratched it, like the smell ain't gonna go away. It's on the paper now. Uh yeah, it's just weird how stuff kind of comes back. You never quite know what's gonna be popular. We're definitely going through like a nostalgia craze right
Oh, yeah.
now. And I think that's a big part of it. People my generation, a little bit older, a little bit younger, um, starting to come into some disposable income now, starting to think about, stuff from the past and they want to buy something. Like I'll probably, I wish I wouldn't have sold the Chrono Trigger now because like that was my Chrono Trigger. It had my saved games on it. And I'm never gonna see that again. I know the guy who bought it from me, so maybe someday I can hit him up and uh, buy it
We
back
sh
for probably triple the price or something.
at
But
at
uh,
at the rate we're going, we need to have, like, a Carfax for video games.
oh yeah, totally, totally. Um, All right. Well, we're getting a little tight on time here. So, first of all, I want to thank you for being on the show. I really enjoyed the conversation. I'm excited to see, even though I'm obviously running GDEX and I'm working with you on the details for Strife Mania. I don't want to know everything because I want to be surprised. I want to
Of course,
experience
of
it
course.
as well. But I think it's going to be a great event, and like I said, I posted the video. I think the video is really cool. Is there anything else that you want to let people know about? Any social media links, anything else like that before we wrap up?
Just remember, if you want a fighter to submit into the battle royale, always comment in the comments in the video. And always expect the unexpected. You know, I haven't revealed all the matches yet. I haven't revealed all the surprises yet. There's gonna be plenty of surprises. It's gonna be happening live. I assume on Twitch, on the GX Twitch site.
Yeah, so we'll be showcasing it on that Friday, Friday the 10th,
So
on the GDEX stream, and then Origins may also be doing some. Oh my God, what do they call it? Co-hosting or whatever of the stream throughout the day.
nice. And just remember,
Sweet.
this is all for a good cause. It's to help Nationwide Children's Hospital. They basically they helped me when I was a kid. It's only fair that I return the favor.
Awesome. Well, congrats on 20 years of remission.
Thank you.
That's a big, those are big numbers. And we will put information up about how to not only participate and watch it, but also how to donate to it. We'll be putting that up in the next couple of weeks here. But otherwise, Zach, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for
On
having me.
behalf of myself, Chris, baby who's sleeping over there, Pumpkin who's sleeping over there, and non-intern soon to graduate tomorrow, Lucas.
Yep. Thank you for coming on. It was a great show today.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you, everybody. Of course, we will see you next week, every Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern. So you can also, I forgot to mention, but you can join us on our Discord at volpecreates.com/Discord. So make sure to do that. Spread the word to friends and family and any of us who listen. Just shake them and tell them to watch the show every Friday at 1 here on twitch.tv/volpecreates. Otherwise, I hope you all have a great week and we will see you next time.
Have a good one.